Welcome to another night in the NBA. This is your 10-minute recap of the last night of NBA hoops, and this was a very light night, only 2 games on the night, Heat Nets, which we'll get to later, but I want to start us off with Thunder versus Warriors, because this is a game that the Thunder win 128-109, no Steph because of injury, and no Draymond Green because of suspension, but the Thunder moved to 8-4 on the season and look like one of the better teams in the Western Conference. Their starting unit is really good, and all can give you 20 plus on any given night. Gilgeous-Alexander is the star, and he was good tonight. 24 points, 7 assists, a couple of steals. Wasn't super efficient, but still got his points nonetheless. Chet Holmgren has been great his rookie year. So far, I think a lot of people would tell you that Chet Holmgren, because of the efficiency, should be the rookie of the year. Only 7 shots tonight, but finishes with 13 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 blocks. Then J-Dub, Jalen Williams, 16 points in this game, as well as 5 assists. Josh Giddey has one of his better offensive games of the season so far, with 19 points, 6 rebounds, only 1 assist, though, a little different than you'd usually get from Giddey. And Lu Dort has 5 points tonight, but has had, I believe, a 30-point game this season. But I want to talk about their secret weapon, and I want to talk about him in a little more detail, because that's Isaiah Joe, who is a sharp shooter, the definition of a sniper. Like, he is elite from behind the three-point line. And when people talk about Oklahoma City, they talk about those starters that I just mentioned. They talk about rookie Kason Wallace, who has been really good. And then, maybe they talk about Trey Mann, who people thought could be like their 6th man, hasn't been that. They might talk about the other Jalen Williams, Jay Will, but Isaiah Joe doesn't get mentioned quite as often as he should, and he was elite in this game. 23 points and was a plus 21, but was a perfect 7 for 7 from behind the three-point line. All of his field goal attempts were threes, and he hits every single one of them. It was one of the better shooting performances I've seen in a while. Usually, you'll get people that you'll hit 3 out of 3 three-point attempts, or you'll hit 4 for 4, but hitting all 7 of your three-point attempts is just completely ridiculous. And 5 rebounds as well, and 2 steals. A clear impact from Isaiah Joe, who played 25 minutes tonight. And if he can be this kind of elite sharpshooter off the bench, as maybe their 6th man, and provide a little more scoring than we've seen in the past, I think it completely changes what you're getting as a team, because it just makes you so much more dangerous. Because like I said, the starting unit is really good, but the bench isn't amazing. Micic should be good on some nights, former EuroLeague MVP. Wallace is really good for a rookie. Kenrich Williams does a little bit of everything, but it's not a ton of really proven guys on the bench for OKC. So if Isaiah Joe can step up and be a 12 to 15 point per game scorer on really elite shooting, I think it changes how good this team is. And don't get me wrong, he was a good shooter last year, shot 41% from 3 on about 5.5 attempts per game this past year. This year he's taking 6 attempts per game, so a little bit higher volume. And after tonight, through 12 games, he is shooting 47% from 3 on 6 attempts. It is actually kind of ridiculous stuff that they're getting from Isaiah Joe. He's not even playing 20 minutes a game, and he's averaging about 10 points. Really good production for the minutes he's been given. In the shooting, if he can sustain that, which is really high, it feels like it's kind of hard to sustain 47% from 3, but if he can stay around 45 on 6 shots a game, I think that makes him extremely dangerous, because then he's basically hitting 3 threes a night on average. So that's almost a guaranteed 9 points a game from Isaiah Joe, and that's not even considering any 2-point attempts, any free throws. So that basically locks in Isaiah Joe to probably about 12 points a game, and that's awesome for them. That would make a huge difference. And this is a guy that, wasn't really like a big prospect coming in, 49th overall in his draft year in 2020, and the Philadelphia 76ers kept him for a little bit. He was on the team for 2 years, played a combination of, what did he play? Sorry, I'm playing some ads here on Basketball Reference. He played a combined 96 games over 2 years with the Sixers, played some with their G League team, but they end up cutting him. They just say, you're not good enough to make the team last season, and he goes to OKC and kind of had a breakout year last year, but looks like he might be even better now, which I feel like is saying a lot because he was a solid presence for them last year. But if he's six-man material, averaging 15 points a game, I think the Thunder are one of the top 4 teams in the West, if that's the case, because you have that great starting unit, like I said, and then Isaiah Joe is coming in and just splashing threes all the time. But that's the Thunder for this game. OKC, Golden State, sorry, like I said, no Steph, no Draymond. So who was going to do the scoring tonight? It was Jonathan Kuminga, who leads them in scoring with 21 points on 8 of 13, relatively efficient. Klay Thompson was awful in this game. You know, I like Klay, but he just wasn't good. 1 of 10 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3, finishes with 5 points. He also had 2 turnovers, not a ton, but the shooting was awful. The efficiency wasn't there. He's just not hitting. He doesn't look like the same Klay this year that we've seen in the past. Even last year was like quietly a good year for Klay, but it just hasn't showed up. And Wiggins hasn't been great either. 12 points on a night where they needed scoring. They get 13 from Looney, 12 from Moody, and 13 from Brandon Pajimski, who's been good for them as a rookie when he's gotten play time. I think Pods is going to be good for them going forward. But for some weird reason, they don't start Looney in a game where they're missing 2 starters. But that's it for this game. The Thunder moved to 8-4, and the Warriors, after starting out kind of hot, moved to 6-7 on the season. But now let's shoot around to different action around the NBA. Only one game, but we'll get into it a little deeper than usual, and then we'll go into the top 5. But let's get a look of what happened in the other part of the NBA in this night of NBA action. So, in other action from around the NBA, we had one game. It was Heat versus Nets. It was the first game of the night, and this is a game that the Miami Heat win 122-115 to pick up their 7th straight win and go to 8-4 on the season. Miami's great. They look really good. It's really impressive how they've bounced back from that 1-4 start, but it just feels like no one's beating them right now, and probably over this 7-game stretch have been the best team in the East, because every other Eastern team has lost over that stretch, and Miami has just been winning every single game. I made a video a couple days ago titled "The Miami Heat Just Keep on Winning," and they just keep doing it again. They pick up their 7th straight against Brooklyn. Brooklyn goes to 6-6 on the year. I still think Brooklyn is better than people expected, and I think the Nets have been pretty good. But Jimmy Butler has probably his best offensive game of the season. 36 points in this one. I believe he had 34 through 3 quarters. He looked really good. 12 of 19 from the field, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. He was fine. You know, it was a pretty solid Jimmy Butler game. +9 on the game as well. Then they get 26 from Duncan Robinson, who goes 6 of 10 from 3, which is also a fantastic 3-point shooting outing. Not the same level as we saw from Isaiah Joe, but what Duncan did in this game was also very impressive. And it's been crazy how well he has bounced back this year after having kind of a rough year last year. But Duncan Robinson looks like a near star level player. He's putting up 20, it feels like, every single game. And Duncan has been huge for them. Like, it almost feels crazy to call him a role player at this point. That's how good Duncan Robinson has been. They also get 20 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals from Bam Adebayo, who continues a very good year so far. Jaquez has 10. One of the impressive rookies in the league so far, has done a great job for Miami. This wasn't a great Haywood Highsmith game, who has been great for them over the course of the season, and they are now 7-0 with Highsmith as a starter, but only 6 points in this game, 2 of 5 from the field, and didn't really rack up anything else in the box score. But for Brooklyn, they're led in scoring once again. It's tied for a lead, but Mikal Bridges, who's picked it up with Cam Thomas being out, 23 points for Mikal, shoots under 50%, but gets to the line and scores there. And then they get 23 from Lonnie Walker off the bench, who looks like one of the best value signings of free agency because he was a minimum deal coming from the Lakers, and he's been really good. Has been arguably their second best scorer outside of Cam Thomas, who's still out with that ankle injury. Cam Johnson, 16. Nick Claxton plays in this game, but both Ben Simmons and Cam Thomas are still out. So Brooklyn will get better over time, but not enough in this game to take down Miami Miami, who again wins their 7th straight. But as always, let's get into the last section of the night, which is the top 5 players according to the Real Sports app. I want to showcase who the best players were on any given night of NBA basketball, and only 2 games tonight, so the player pool is a little limited. But let's just start off with number 1, which is Jimmy Butler with 36 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 2 with 24 points, 7 assists, and 3 steals. Isaiah Joe coming in at number 3 with 23 points and 7 made threes. Nick Claxton at 4 with 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 blocks. And then Duncan Robinson rounding out the top 5 with 26 points, 6 made threes, and 2 assists. But that'll do it for this night in the NBA. Another night in the NBA. Thanks for watching. Think about subscribing. I'm on the road to 12,000 subscribers. If you like the daily recaps, I do these every day, and usually there's more games, so there's a little more to talk about. But hopefully you enjoyed. That's going to be it for me. So thanks for watching. I'm Herm. Have a good one.